So here's what we can open on. The same question that I had posed to Adam, which I talked about before we started here.
Mm-hmm.
When you put a full variable speed, you know the what's the French word? Creme de la creme. I don't know if that's French or not, but it sounds like it sounds French to me. So the best unit possible. You have your salesman, high five everybody when he came back from selling this sucker. You have the best one, 20 SEER plus. You put it in, and you have just a regular duct system. And let's say the duct system is new, but it's just a regular duct system.
All right.
This system's going to ramp from 20% all the way to 100% in capacity, and then a blower is going to ramp. I don't know if it's going to ramp 20 to 100%, but it's going to ramp a significant bit as well.
Yep.
Is that duct work going to work with that system? Is that broad enough?
9.9 times out of 10, the answer is no.
Man, that's a lot of the time.
Yeah. Most of the time, no. And that's just even assuming that the existing equipment or the replacement equipment's the right size. So that's one of the unfortunate things about inverter-based equipment that we've tended to think is, it's going to change capacity all the time, so sizing doesn't matter anymore. Oh, yes, it does. So that's the first thing. Second thing is there are so many guys, and we still see this. We get so many calls on, like fan failure errors. And guys are unintentionally, they're still doing the same business practices that they did 25 years ago. And they're not going out and doing just even some basic testing that you can do in less than 5 minutes to determine if the existing system is undersized or not. They're going in, looking at the data plate, swapping exact same tonnage of capacity, and they're putting a brand new, 20-something SEER piece of equipment on an old 30-year-old duct system that somebody put in because they were the cheapest bidder. And now they have inherited that cheap bidder's duct system. They own it. And now they're wondering, why am I getting fan failure errors? What do I have to do to fix this? Instead of presenting to the homeowner up front or the building owner, hey, we've got problems. These need to be fixed. Now you own them after the fact because we assume instead of testing and guessing. 5 minutes is all it takes.
But, a lot of guys go in there, and by a lot of guys, I mean me too coming up, my dad for sure, and he was a design guy. He actually did load calculations, and the city would defer to my dad on some of their manual in load calculations, which means you should be good at it, which he was. But he's still on the job site. That's a 3. Let's order a 3. And it's the end of it. That's a 2.5. We need a 2.5. And we'll put it on there and not even check. And I think, I'll be honest with you, when I was in the trade, I saw that happen most of the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, that's a slight problem. It's like most of the trade is doing that because they're having, I don't know if they're having faith in the previous contractor or they're just taking comfort and just replacing the same one and saying, the guy, it's been working this whole time.
I think a lot of it's we're strapped for time. I mean, we know we're in the middle of a labor crisis. We're strapped for time. And that's one of the, I don't think it's done maliciously. I think it's people trying to get, just trying to get from job to job to keep things rolling. Our industry has been thrown on so much of a guilt trip that, it's like, oh, you didn't do a load count? All the fingers are pointing at that person going, shame, shame, when a lot of our industry isn't doing it. And the reason that they're not doing it, and I firmly believe this, is because we don't know how to get paid for it. You should never give away your designs for free. It's engineering. It's engineering work that we're giving away for free. And what we're missing is a way to get paid for that. You establish the need up front. You can do a quick no-go test and say, am I close or not? And you can know whether you're pretty close. But then once that gets into that detail, you should be getting paid for that. There's basic level testing diagnostics that you can go in and do really quick. It's down and dirty. It's super simple that you can go, yeah, this is going to be close. And yes or no, the existing duct system can handle it. And then if that customer wants a higher degree of comfort, they've got those problems that they answer certain questions, yes or no to, then you can get paid for those designs to make sure that they're truly getting what they paid for and that level of comfort that they may want. Others, they just want to blow cold air. They don't care.
Yeah.
So it gives you a quick way to gauge that instead of having all these hours into load calc where they go, you're too expensive. So there's some risk associated to that, in my opinion, most people have not found a way to counteract. I mean, I think we have at NCI, but most people, I think, they don't know how to combat that. They just say, you need to do it. And then when the question's asked how, it's like, Well, I don't know. You just need to, or you're a bad contractor.
Yeah, that's not our problem. Just do
You're
it.
somebody who's trying to put food on the table.
That's right. That's right. That's number one. That's number one when you think about it. You want to be good at it, because good at it gets you the money to put food on the table and maybe some extra stuff. And, maybe you have a four-wheeler and stuff like that, and the things that you didn't have coming up.
Right.
But I'm
things that
with
you
you.
want to do.
Right,
guilt
right.
trips are not going to improve our industry.
Absolutely not. I think that sort of leads to a self-destruction of
It
a person is hearing it all the time. Just like, well, I'm not even going to try. I mean, I'm not making these people happy. Why should I spend my time trying?
Right. So, I mean, you have to see the value. Number one, you have to see the value in it, and you have to believe in it. Otherwise, you're just going to pencil whip it just to get the thing done. But if you truly see the value in it and saying, oh, yeah, this is correct, and I know I'm not going to be stuck with a piece of equipment that runs and shuts off in less than 10 minutes, and
Right.
now it's cold and muggy, then, there's ways that you can get around it and get paid for doing the right job.
Now, it's interesting that you brought that up, because I've done many load calculations on many jobs, and I wasn't charging for the load calculations, but I wasn't doing, when I say load calculation, it was a single block on all of them. It wasn't anything more intricate than each of it. I just want to know what size the equipment needed to be for the entirety of it. I would never do zone by zone. Yeah, exactly. I could see doing that, but doing something where you're taking at a minimum, each zone, as if you were zoning a system, taking each zone and doing a load calculation. I cannot imagine doing that for free.
Detailed work.
Yeah, that takes a long time to get right.
There's tools, there's software now that make it a lot easier, and they speed up the process.
I never had the software. It's hard to believe. It would have been a lot better, but the software was more intimidating to me than just continuing to take a long time. I mean, get into something like RightSoft and looking at it, and which is the one that I would be exposed to, RightSoft. And looking at it, it's like, wow, this is so complicated. But I know how to do it old school and take half my lifetime to do each one, but I know how to do it at least. So it was easier to kind of rest on that. And by the time I started doing this, I wasn't doing load calculations anymore. So it's like, well, I kind of skated by my whole career without using it. But those guys are making more accurate load calculations because you have all that bank of stuff. You have all the different windows, all the different walls, everything you could possibly want. Whereas I was going on some old documents from 20 years ago.
And there's still a lot of people that are doing that. I mean, and of course we still, the old 500 square foot to the ton rule that from the early 70s still pops up.
Is that
guys
still around?
Using that? It's still around.
It's unbelievable. That's the one that's unbelievable to me. That's what I talked with John Ellis about. I said, of all the rules of thumb to put out there, that's like the worst one, especially now when the houses, you have like concrete ICF houses that, are 1,500 to 2,000 square feet a ton, something crazy. And then you go to old houses, like, well, it is 800 square feet per ton because, you can hear the wind blowing around the windows.
Right.
So, that's a problem.
Yeah, there's certain load characteristics you can look for in a building and tell really quick, like, yeah, this is not going to be right. And if they aren't there, then, it needs to be a red flag.
Yeah. Experience is a good teacher in that. So you can get a feel for, this one is, I see the windows are single pane. We're going to have a problem with load unless we change those out.
Sometimes it's an expensive teacher.